I want to make this the most content-filled course that you've ever seen before. To me, I don't want to be the instructor that shows you lots of slideshows or talks about how wonderful they are and asks you to clap. You know, the people at home can look at me and know this is pretty beautiful, okay? The fact is, I want to give you content. When I went to a workshop, I always felt like this was missing and I wish I had seen that. I want to put it all together for you. So when planning this, we worked on that. We worked on putting everything you can imagine in it. So I'm going to take you through a 22-year ride of ups and downs and everything in between. I want to take you through and show you everything that helped to make my studio what it is. Now I know some of you here may know about me and people at home don't. Like I said, I've been shooting for over 22 years. I come from a family-owned business. This business started with my mom, my dad, and a credit card and a dream. The truth is, I'm a failed baseball player. It's what I am. I was very blessed at a young age. I was able to throw a baseball over 90 miles an hour as a 15-year-old. I had a cannon of an arm. I thought this is what I was going to do with my life. But it left me living with regrets. I wound up getting hurt, tore my rotator cuff. Most pain I've ever been in my life. But what I realized from it was that I gave up on myself. I had something secondary. My dad worked so hard. My dad was the dad who worked a job during the day, a job at night, and shot weddings on the weekend. He was the weekend warrior. And the only way I could see my dad was to go to weddings with him. And I loved it. I loved watching my dad work because I learned a lot about life in general. I was able to be more experienced in life. Not necessarily book smart, but in life in general. I learned with him being on the weddings. I was also there to see the girls, which worked out well later in life. I met my beautiful wife, Vim. She was a maid of honor at a wedding. And she wound up, although she did not realize that I was the love of her life initially, it wound up leading to it 3 years later when we met at another wedding. But the fact is, I've learned so much during this time. Life is about taking chances. So what we're gonna do over the next 3 days is we are gonna talk about every type of posing imaginable. We're gonna talk about every type of lighting imaginable. We are gonna talk about business, we're gonna talk about workflow, and we're gonna talk about managing life in between. Here's the best part. My studio, when we started and went into our first store with that credit card and a dream, we were doing 54 weddings. Today, 27 years later, our studio is doing over 1,000 weddings a year. We do over 5,000 portraits a year. We do everything you can imagine, from sports to schools to bar mitzvahs to boudoir to all of it. And I'm going to explain to you how we got to that point. I'm going to explain to you how to simplify not only the way you shoot, but the way you operate your business. Because the fact is, photographers tend to overcomplicate things. We tend to think too much. We tend to work too hard. We forgot that as much as it was a hobby that we were fortunate enough to make money with, we forgot that we have to make money and do things the right way and simplify them. The worst thing you could do as a photographer, and you're going to hear me say it several times, is overthink the situation. So let's start where I'd want to go with it. We're going to start with inspiration. I want to inspire you. I want to take you to what inspires me. So the question that I ask everybody is, what is it that inspires you? What makes you do the things you do? What is it that puts you in a position to succeed? It's about dreaming. I told you, I dreamed of being a baseball player. It's great to dream big, as long as you're willing to work for that dream. Everything you do starts with having a dream. Everything you do starts with having passion. Do you have passion? Are you excited about things? If you're passionate, your clients will be passionate. If you're passionate, everybody around you is going to be passionate. If you're passionate, you're going to get to what you want to do. It's going to give you the choice. I could either do this or not do it, and it starts with having courage. See, there's nothing people would look at me and say, you weren't courage. You don't have any courage. I do have courage because I'm willing to take chances. If you take chances, great things can occur. I'm not worried about failure. I'm never worried about failure. I'm worried about how to get there. I'm worried about how much work I'm going to put into it. See, my dad took a major chance. It was either he was going to swim or he was going to sink. He took a chance and he said, I'm going to make this work. And he did, because he put it all out there. I'm not worried about what's going to happen when I fail. I'm worried about what's going to happen if I don't try. It's a matter of going in good directions. You know what I've learned over time? People just expect things to happen. They're no longer interested in putting in what it is. You can't wait for it to happen. You can't wait for it to come to you. You got to go out and get it right now, this minute, this second. It's a matter of going and grabbing it. I live my life with regret every day. Last year, I was given the biggest honor I'd ever be given in my life. I was awarded a United Nations Leadership Award, one of only 4 wedding photographers in the world to ever receive this. And as I'm driving home with my family after getting the biggest award that I ever got in my life, we're driving past Citi Field, the home of my beloved Mets. I started to cry because I realized that I let myself down. I gave up on myself. I got hurt and said, it's over. I'm going to be a wedding photographer. Now, mind you, I've had a great life as a wedding photographer. I love it. It's the greatest job in the world. But I'm always going to regret that I did not become a baseball player, that I gave up on myself. It's a matter of going out and getting it. It's a matter of if I want it, I got to go take it. I was the guy in high school who never had a girlfriend. I know, it's really hard to believe. I see the way you girls are looking. It's very hard to believe, but no, I never had a girlfriend in high school. You know why? I was afraid to ask. I was afraid to ask. When I spoke to them years later, they're like, yeah, I would have went out with you. I liked you. I'm like, now you tell me? Now you tell me. But the fact was, it was because I didn't ask. People say, why am I successful? Because I ask. I put it out there. It's a matter of changing. If you haven't noticed, society is quite different today than it's ever been before. There's people out there who are desperate. Everybody who picks up a camera says, I'm a wedding photographer, I can do this. I'm a portrait photographer, I can do this. I'm going to shoot on P for Professional and TTL, whatever the heck that means, and be on my way. Clearly, the rules of the game have changed. They have. I loved shooting film. You know why? Because I couldn't fix it later on. It was too expensive. But now everybody thinks they can do it. So what does that mean? I have to do something different. We're being redefined. The rules that have been in place forever no longer apply. A wedding photographer isn't as important. Stats say it. In 2007, there were over 2.4 million weddings in the United States. Do you know over 1.6 million of them were photographed by professionals? Now you would say, oh, that's not so great, only 2/3? You're right, it's not great, but do you want to know what's worse? Today, we're doing 2/3 of the weddings that we did then. There's only about 1.4 million people getting married, and less than 600,000 are being photographed by professionals. Why is that happening? Well, I love talking to photographers and they blame it on everybody else, but they don't take accountability for what it is. It's a matter of accepting the fact that business has changed because we have not changed with it. We decided we wanted to make life easier and just give them files and do different things, but this isn't about it. It's about changing, it's about adjusting, and adjusting to the rules, because they are changing. You know what I learned in time? Change in life is automatic. Progress is not. It's the conscious thought decision that I'm going to do something different. You're going to walk out of here today. When you walk out at the end of 3 days and people are going to watch it and say, oh my God, I'm inspired, I'm ready, I want to do this. And then you're going to go back to your normal life. It's the people who walk out of here and make that change, make that adjustment. I studied under legendary photographer Monty Zucker, who most people don't know. I spent 10 years of my life with him. And you know what I learned over time was I didn't listen to him as much as I thought. But the fact is, my parents would have to send someone out to watch me shoot afterwards because I was so fired up by what he did, I would change everything. But I was willing to take that chance. That's not what you got to do. You got to add it in. But it's about changing. One moment is all it takes to change your life forever. One decision, one step, one conversation, one idea. That's all it takes. You have to make a conscious decision that I want to change. I want to be better. I want to be different. I want to be unique. I want to do something that nobody else has ever done before. You came here today because you wanted that. The question is not what you do today. It's what you do a week from now, a month from now. Will you change? Will you follow it around? I didn't have Creative Live when I was learning from Monty. I had Monty's DVDs and videos. I watched them so much that I wound up melting them because I wanted it. That's what, they were VHS tapes. I had to buy them again because on Friday before I left for the wedding, I'd watch those VHS tapes. When I got home at the end of the night, I'd watch them again because I'd want to know what I did wrong. When I left before on Saturday morning, before I left, I'd watch them. When I got home, I'd watch them again and keep doing it every day. Why? Because I wanted it so bad I could taste it. I wanted to be the best. I'm striving to be the best. At a job, there really is no such thing as a best, is there? Because it's all in the eye of the beholder. I strive to be the best person. Every day I wake up and say, I want to do more today than I did yesterday. I want to do more today because I want to be better. I want to keep inspired. What is it that inspires you? Is it love? Is it money? Is it self-worth? Is it family? What matters most? It's a matter of figuring it out. It's a matter of knowing. How do we change? How do we change? We change when we are no longer willing to accept what is good enough. You've heard this term before. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's the worst term on the entire planet. I'll tell you why. Because if it ain't broke, you're not looking hard enough. Because you could always do it better. You could always do it better. I do nothing perfect other than this body. Okay? I don't do it perfect. All I want to do is get better. I have to accept the fact that I don't know everything. You have to be honest about who you are and where you're going. In order to change, you have to be honest. I remember showing Monty my work and be like, Monty, I'm so excited. Look at this. Aren't I wonderful? And he'd look at me and say, this is what you created? This is what I've taught you? You don't get it. And I'd walk away and I'd be like, what does he know? He's an old man. And it took me 5 more years to learn it because I always thought I was better than I was. I thought that I knew everything. I was a child. My daughter, as wonderful as she is, I love you dearly. You don't know everything. You're 11. You still have to learn. And the fact is, we act like children. We think we can't learn anything. You came here, and some things you're going to disagree with. Some you're going to love. Some you're going to be indifferent to. The question is, how can you fit it into what you're doing? I was brought here for a reason, because obviously I've had some type of proven success and track record. It's a matter of you finding what works for you. It's a matter of being honest about what direction you're going. It's about commitment. Are you committed to what you're doing? Commitment is realizing that failure is not an option. You want me to give you a stat that'll blow your mind? Most of you probably know it already. In the United States in 2011, the divorce rate was at 53%. Now, as a wedding photographer, I'm kind of excited about that. But the fact is, 53% of people say it's easier to give up than keep trying. Guess what? Sometimes it may be. It may say, all right, let me cut my losses and move on. But it's not easier. It's not easier to give up. The only failure you have is giving up. This is in life. You're going to get knocked down. It's not a question of getting hit and getting knocked down. It's a question of what you do when you do get hit and get knocked down. Do you get up? You move forward. You keep getting hit. You move forward. That's what it's about. It's about moving forward and being better. Commitment is realizing there's no expiration date on what it is you want to accomplish. Why do we set dates? Why do we set deadlines? How can we move forward if we have deadlines on what it is we want to accomplish? There's no deadlines in my life, because if I put deadlines, when I don't reach them, I'm going to feel like a failure. It's a matter of saying, okay, I want to try to get here by this date. Am I saying don't develop a plan? No, of course you need to develop a plan. The question is, don't say if I don't hit it at this date, it's over. I go to WPPI, the biggest photographic convention in the world, every year. And every year I make the same mistake of saying, how's it going? And you know what people say to me? Oh, things are going well, but. I make that mistake. And those people who tell me that this is their last chance, they're going to WPPI and it's going to change their life forever. It will change your life, but it's not going to occur in an hour. Those are the same people that when I'm going to work in the morning at 9 a.m., they're coming home from a night of drinking and partying. That's not working. Working is blood, sweat, tears, dedication, and commitment. I didn't get to where I was because I gave up. Now, maybe I'm more inspired because I did give up on something. And I'm trying to prove a point to my kids, to my family. It's about making sure that you're committed. It's about making sure you're not afraid. People's deepest fear in life is not that they're inadequate. Their deepest fear is that they have power beyond anything imaginable. You're not afraid of failure. You're afraid of what? You're afraid of success. Because when you get on top, that's when the work really starts. You have to work harder. You have to want it more. You have to be more intense. You have to be more excited. You have to put more effort than you could ever possibly imagine, because that's when it really starts. Look at the athletes with the big contracts. How often after they get the monster contract, does their stats go down? It happens all the time, doesn't it? Because they got what they were looking for. To me, it's not about the money. It's about the love of the game. It's about wanting to be the best. Because if you are, the money's always going to follow. You know what I've learned? Whoops, let me go back. We don't want to see that yet, do we? Okay. I've been asked many, many times, how come you're successful? Why are you successful? How are you recommended by over 40 different catering halls? How did that happen? You know why? Because I asked. Good luck just doesn't happen. It's a matter of putting yourself in a situation for good luck to occur. Good luck is opportunity created. What's the worst that could happen if I go to a catering hall and I say, I would love to be your recommended photographer? Oh no, we have someone. So then I'll go back again and try again. It's a matter of putting yourself out there. I'm not afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of not asking. Good luck happens because I put myself in a situation for good luck to occur. Magical shots occur because I take chances. It's not about doing what's obvious. It's about doing what's not obvious. That's what makes photography great. And I have the challenge of a lifetime over the next couple of days. I'm inside this little area and I have to find a way to make it look good. I have to find a way to make it look unique. And I have to find a way not to bore you. It's about being motivated. It's about understanding what your biggest asset is as a professional. Not a photographer, but as a professional. What is it? What is your biggest asset? It's no doubt personality. Do you know why I'm successful? Because of personality. I did my first wedding when I was 16 years old. 16! Could you imagine? I wasn't very good. But guess what? The people liked me. And you know what I learned over time? If they like you, they'll like your pictures. Business is built on that. If you ask me where the best place to advertise is in any business, I'm going to tell you one answer. With the people you already have. They're there. They want to tell people you're great. People don't want to complain. They want to say, I'm great. They loved him. People came to me because they liked me. My pictures were okay. Maybe even mediocre, but they liked me. They liked hanging out with me because I was fun. And the fact is, if you can do that and build that into your business, into your brand, make your personality your brand. Your personality as a photographer, whether you're an enthusiast or whether you're a professional, boils down to who you are as a person. That tells the story. And that's what makes it work. Our clients know what they look like. They've seen themselves 1,000 times. But the fact is, are we showing who they are inside? As a professional, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you know who your photographer, do you know your clients? Do you take time to get to know them? When was the last time you cried at a wedding or a portrait session? I'll admit it. I'm a little, you know what, I'm a little femme with this. I cry all the time. Why do I cry? Because I understand the story. How could I ever photograph the emotion if I don't have the story? I know that her brother just came back from the war. I know that her dad's dying. I know that grandma's very sick. Tell you why this is important. When I got married, my grandfather died 2 weeks after the wedding. And I remember the devastation that my mother felt. It wasn't just because her dad died. When we were searching for photographs, she didn't have a picture of her and her dad since she was 8 years old. What does that tell you? Remember something. Your job matters. You have to know the story. From that day on, I realized, wait a minute, I have to go in depth. My job as a photographer is quite different than I ever imagined. Remember when I shot 15 years ago and someone would come to me at 12 o'clock at night after a full day and say, hey Doug, can you do this family picture? I'd be like, oh, are you kidding me? I ran out of film. Now I realize I have to take it no matter what, because that could be the last time someone's in there. It's important. It matters. You have to find out about your clients, and guess what? They like it. When you know them, when you know their personality, they know you, there's more than just a photographer. And guess what? When you do make a mistake, because you will, they're going to be more forgiving. You can't get what you want out of a subject if you don't know them. And your job as a professional is not just pressing a button. It's knowing who they are. You know what I learned over time? What's up here doesn't always translate to paper. It doesn't. You can't photograph what's in your mind's eye, because you walk in and the situation changes. When we were talking about this Creative Live project, they said to me, how do you want to set it up? How do you want to make the backgrounds? Do you want to see anything? My answer was, no. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to know anything. And their response was, oh my goodness, you're so easy. Because I'm not about looking for the perfect spot. Because God knows when I shoot, there's no such thing. 1 out of every 1,000, I find the perfect location. Every other time, it's about what happens. It's what's there. I don't want to think about it because for 2 weeks, I'd be thinking about, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I don't care because I want to walk in and be excited about it. And I want to look at it and say, red wall, what the heck can I do with this? How can I make it? And then I realized even further along, it's not about what I do or what I plan. It's about photographing from here, feeling the emotion. A photograph from the heart with personality, with depth, is always going to be more value. I promise you this, and I've learned it over time. Emotion will always, always, always be technical perfection. Always. It's a matter of whether or not you can create that emotion. You know why? Because we forgot. As a photographer, we are the writer, we are the director, we are the cameraman, we are everything. We produce it. And what does that mean for us? It means one thing. It matters most. What matters most to you? See this? This is what matters most to me. This beautiful little woman and these 2 little kids. And my little puppy, of course. Why do they matter most? You know why they matter? Because that's what makes me get up in the morning. That's what inspires me to do the things that I do. When I'm tired, when I'm achy, when I'm cranky, I know that I'm doing something for them. I know that I want more for them. I know what matters most. And if I only do it halfway, who am I letting down? I'm letting them down. I want to be the family guy. I want to be the guy that shows them what to do. I never lose sight of this one simple fact, and I've heard it. God knows how many times I've said it. Never lose sight of it. People remember their lives through your eyes, your feelings, your emotions, everything you are as a person. Long after you're gone, I'm gone, or the subject's gone, you bring history to life. Always. Always. I'm doing a project for a friend right now. He's collecting all of these different images of his entire life. His parents are getting up in the older years of their life. So what he's doing is he wants to take all the photos of the entire life, and he's almost 60 years old, and he's going to digitize them, and he's going to make the family album. That's history. You want to know what's changed? When I first started photographing 22 years ago, I'd walk into someone's home and there would be beautiful prints all over the wall. You walk in now, you know what you see? Chair railing and empty walls, don't you? And occasionally they'll plug in their electronic frame. We forgot what a photographer really is. A photographer used to be nothing more than a glorified paper salesperson. Our job was to sell paper. That's how we made our money. That's what it's about. It's about creating art. It's about creating a story. It's about remembering you create history. So today, I dare you. I'm issuing you a dare. Remember when you were a kid and someone said, I dare you to do it? I dare you to think outside the box. I dare you to do something you've never done before. I dare you to take a chance. Years ago, when I first started teaching, 15 years ago, my idea of doing different was, okay, I'm going to lay the groom in the grass on his belly, and I'm going to lay the bride on top hugging, and everybody's like, cool, different. Now as you could tell, I've graduated to making her look a little bit more extravagant, to say the least. But the fact is, I took chances. Is this image going to be for everybody when a bride walks up into the studio and sees with her legs up on the wall and everything? She's going to be like, ooh, sexy. And the mom's going to be like, ugh. And you know what she's going to say. But the fact is, it's not about that. It's about drawing attention. If you do something unique, you're going to draw attention to yourself. And that's good attention. You know why? Because when people walk into my studio, do you think I have an image of anybody staring at the camera? No. I have the images with wow factor. I have the images that are going to make them talk. Whether they book, they don't book, or anything in between, my job is to draw attention and make them talk about me. I create something in between. It's about being different. How do you be different? Well, if you've ever seen me in a live performance on stage, you know that I start my seminars off by dancing. Now, I do it for 2 reasons. Number one, I want to give you ladies a little bit of a treat. The other reason is, how many photography seminars have you been to before where The leader of it did the YMCA to start it off in front of a couple of thousand people. They don't do it. I do it because no matter what, you're going to remember I did something different. Do you know the only constant of my program in 15 years is getting them up and doing a dance routine? Because people love it. They're excited. They're having fun. I could do the whole thing with you. Look at this. Yeah. Everything. We do the whole thing because that's how you create impact. Laying a bride down in the middle of a park or laying a subject down in the middle of the park with their legs up on the wall, is it going to draw attention? It is. You create impact by doing things that nobody else is doing. When I walk into a park, when I'm shooting a wedding and there's other weddings there, the photographers literally start to clear out because they know I'm going to go out of my way to draw attention to myself. I want them to say, I want the other brides to say to their photographer, wait a minute, why aren't you doing that? Because that's how you advertise. You create impact. It's about making the invisible visible, taking this wall and making it look interesting and telling a story. It's about seeing things. It's about making ordinary into extraordinary, seeing things that nobody else sees. It's about using emotion and energy and excitement. If I'm excited, you're excited. If you're excited, your client's excited. Now, most of you are probably scared of me who are sitting here. You think I'm going to attack you by week's end, but I won't. But I'm excited. I'm passionate because if I'm passionate, everybody else around me is going to be. If I'm enthusiastic, everybody else is going to be. And if you can, those of you at home don't know this, the 6 of them here, they're totally rocking my world. Your excitement is overwhelming me. Can you tone it down? Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay? It's a matter of being excited. It's a matter of not being afraid. Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to try. Be afraid not to take chances. Be afraid to not say, I can do this. It's not a matter of saying, I can't do it. Maybe I can do it. You can do it. When you walk out of here after 3 days, or you're home watching this after 3 days and you say, there's no way I could shoot at 2,000 ISO or 6,000 ISO or 2.8. The fact is, they did not make your camera so that you can't do it. They made your camera so that you can do it. Don't be afraid to fail. Make your mistakes. Learn. I'm the guy who never looks at directions. Why? Number one, I can't read that well. No, fact is, I don't look at directions because I want to play. I want to have fun. I want to be a child. I want to make my mistakes so I learn how to do them. I'm bored when I read. I'm visual. This is why Creative Live is wonderful, because I could watch it over and over and over again and watch it until it just keeps going, until it sinks in. You can't watch this one time. You need to watch it 1,000 times. You have to want it so bad that you're sick of me. That's how it works. It's about creating impact. It's about doing the impossible. It's about emotion and energy. It's about not being afraid. It's about taking your heart and putting it into it. And if you throw your heart over the fence, I promise you everything else will follow. I promise you it's going to follow. Promise you. It's about changing. You know why we need to change? Because everybody's doing the same thing. And if you keep doing the same thing you've always done, guess what? You're going to get the same results you've always gotten. I told you before, I'll tell you again. Everybody picks up a camera and says that I can do this. I can do this. I got this under control. Look at this. I just machine gun fired. What's the term? Spray and pray. Okay? It's not about spraying and praying. It's about controlling what you do. It's about doing something different. You want to do something different that nobody else is doing in the photography field? I'm going to give it to you very, very short. You want to do something, you want to be so unique, nobody else is doing it? Here it goes. Learn to pose. Learn to pose people. Learn to create a story. Learn to make the story. Why? Why is this important? Do you know why it's important? I'm going to give it to you in a nutshell. Someone comes into my studio and they're like, oh my goodness, I love your website. I love this wedding album you show me. This is awesome. This is everything I want. And they're looking at an album where the couple is getting married in the Dominican Republic. There's only 12 people at the wedding. It's beautiful. It's Ken and Barbie. Everything about it is perfect. But this couple who's sitting in front of me, they have no personality. Their families hate each other. They're a little overweight. Okay, we're talking like tag team wrestling overweight. Okay, they walk in and that's what I want my pictures to look like. So if I don't pose, when they come back after the wedding and they're like, oh my goodness, what happened, Doug? My pictures look nothing like this. Can I say to them, oh, I'm so sorry. Your wedding sucked and oh yeah, you're huge. Can I say that?
I can't say that, can I? Because the fact is, my job is not to show the world as it is. My job is to show the world as what we want it to be. People come to me because they have a dream. They have a fairy tale of what they really want to be. Do I want to look like this? Oh, actually, kind of. The fact is, I want to look better, don't I? I don't want to look like myself. I want to look better. I want to live the fairy tale. That's why Glamour Shots is still around after all these years. It's a matter of creating it. It's a matter of creating the story. So what does posing have to do with it? Do you really think that a bride and groom or anybody looks at each other and says, let's hold hands, let's frolic? Does that really happen? It never happens, does it? Has a bride or a subject ever said to you, oh my goodness, look at the way the light's hitting me, let's spin? It doesn't happen, does it? It's not a matter of showing what is, it's a matter of creating it better. And it's only one way to do it. Pose, pose, pose. I remember when I started lecturing 15 years ago, everybody said to me, whoa, you're going to be short-lived. You're an old-fashioned photographer. You're traditional. You're boring. You and your boy Monty over there. You guys, you're old school. Photojournalism, it's the way to go. Things have changed, haven't they? Guess what? Monty Zucker would be coming back into style today, more popular than ever. Why? Because he knew how to make the body look good. He knew how to make people feel good. He knew how to make them look better than they've ever looked in their life. And guess what? Over the next 3 days, I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how to put people in the most uncomfortable positions they've ever been in their entire life. But they're going to look better than they've ever looked. Simple things. Look at me. If I stand here like this is the way most people stand in a pose. You look at me and you think, okay, he looks all right. But what you're not realizing is I make my belly look bigger. I give myself 12 chins. But if I do a little thing here and lean forward, just like this, I've gotten rid of my belly. I've tightened up my face. These are all little rules that you're going to learn. But it's a matter of learning to pose. Because I can promise you, weddings, portraits, events, they're not really fairy tales. It's kind of fake. When I got married, I dreamed my whole life. I was doing weddings since I was 11 years old with my dad. I'm like, oh my goodness, the first dance is going to be the most romantic moment in the entire world. Oh my goodness. And as we're dancing, it wasn't that way. It was like, can you believe they got the cake wrong? Why is your sister wearing this dress? Your friend over there is an idiot. Yep. What's going on here? Yep. So as I started doing weddings after that, I realized, wait a minute, they're not really romantic. She's yelling at him. She's yelling at him. She's mad. A wedding is not about romance. It's about creating the illusion that it is. You're going to learn how to fake it. You're going to learn how to fake those moments. And afterwards, when your clients come back to you and say, oh my goodness, I don't even remember this happening. How did it happen? You can be honest with them. Be like, yeah, listen, I'm kind of like a ninja. I'm nowhere, but I'm everywhere. It's not a matter of being real because a wedding is not real. It's a fairy tale. Just watch the TV shows. People are crazy. Your job is to create the illusion. It's about doing something different, and that starts with posing. Now, depending on where you are in the world, this may or may not work for you, but you've always heard the term sex sells. And the fact is, it does. Now more than ever, people want to look sexy. Today's woman is more sophisticated than she's ever been in her entire life. They're much more powerful. They're executives. They're leaders in the community. They're the main breadwinners in the household. Women want to look sexy. It's a matter of creating that sex appeal. Now, here's what happens. Years ago, when I first started doing it, I remember being about 18 years old and me saying to my dad, Dad, this wedding photography thing is not going to work out. I'm bored. I can't have her in a mirror putting on a lipstick and a hairbrush and faking it. He's like, well, what are you going to do? And I said to him, I'm like, I want to do something different. I said, they wear all that sexy lingerie, they undergarments. I said, I want to shoot that. So he said to me, he's like, you're probably just being like an 18-year-old pervert or something. And he may have been right. But the fact is, little did he know it would turn out to be such a huge business. Do you know out of the 1,000 weddings we do a year, 800 of them do boudoir sessions before? Do you know that our boudoir sessions are booked literally from June through February? We are booked solid. You're booked 8 months to 10 months out to get a session with us. We're doing over 1,000 boudoir sessions a year. Why? Because women want to feel special. My job as a photographer is to make her feel special. And you may say, well, it's kind of a crazy brand of photography. It is.
Would I want my wife to do it without me photographing it? Probably not. But my job is not to live in reality. My job is to create fantasy. Same thing with maternity. It's about doing something that matters. I just had something, and it was so special to me. The woman came in for a maternity session, and she was bedridden. And she had a catheter, and everything that, the baby's beautiful and everything came out good, but everything before that could make her uncomfortable and feel not so good about herself was happening. The veins, everything. But when she left and saw those photos, hysterical crying, she goes, I never felt beautiful this whole time. You made me feel beautiful. That's what this job is about. It's not about the money. The money's just an added bonus. But if I do it with love, if I do it with compassion, if I do it with personality, that's a heck of a lot better, isn't it? And it starts with understanding that sex sells, personality sells, and it's about creating that moment. You have a choice as a photographer. You could either take the moment or you could create the moment. I choose to create it. Why do I choose to create it? Because the fact is simple. I really, really believe in my heart of hearts that romance must be created. Romance has to be created. Like I said, first dance is not romantic. It's what happens in a pose that creates the naturalness of the moment. It's that little hand squeeze that he makes to her. It's that little whisper in her ear. It's me saying something funny. It's me creating a story. What do I mean romance must be created? Remember I said it's about the personality? You're going to hear over the next 3 days how my temperament changes according to what I want at that moment. Now, I'm loud, I'm boisterous, I'm full of personality. Do you think when I want that soft, seductive moment, I'm going to talk that way, or am I going to bring it down? Turn your head in, beautiful, just a little bit. Nice and relaxed. Just press your lips. Don't touch. Just press. Excellent. Now, I want you to go in and tear him up. And now I get 2 different images, don't I? I get the soft personality, I get rah, rah. You get all of it because of how I control the moment with personality. You're going to hear this debate. You see, this is one of the things that excited me most about Creative Live, this wide audience, because over the next 3 days, when that chat room heats up later today and tomorrow, it's going to be, oh my God, he touches them way too much. There's going to be, oh my God, he's touching them, and then there's going to be the people say, are you out of your mind? Of course he's touching them. He's touching them because he wants to be able to go in and control what he's doing. It's a debate, but it's a good debate. But the fact is, I'm going to talk about touching because I think touch is good. Touch creates softness. Touch creates personality. I've done over 3,600 weddings in the last 22 years. I can't even begin to count how many portrait sessions. Nobody's ever got mad at me for touching them. They like the fact. I go and get a haircut. The barber shaves my neck. At the end, he touches the back of my neck. I'm like, ooh. Maybe it's a little weird, but I like it anyway. The fact is, it's about creating the moment. It's about letting it feel. It's about letting it be. We think too much. We think way too much in everything we do. You know who the best photographers are? The ones who let it be. Why do I have to sit there and think? Here's the thing that you're going to find out about posing. Years ago, they said, nobody wants to pose anymore. Photojournalism's the way to go. They don't want to pose because it takes too long. It takes too long. It takes up their whole day. And you know what? They were partially right. I learned a lot, like I said, working with my dad at a young age. My dad was the best. People loved him. But he was slow, and he was very meticulous when he shot. So what would happen is, all of a sudden, when a cocktail hour or a reception started, and he was still shooting, which usually was no fault of his, people would say, oh my God, I don't like him anymore. They'd be angry. He would be like the worst human being on the planet because they felt it took too long. So my goal was, I couldn't believe people were disliking my dad. I said, I got to do it in a way that people don't like. So as fast as I talk, I'm going to teach you to shoot even faster. That's going to be part of the flow. That's going to be part of the personality, is making things happen quick. What's the biggest complaint that people have about photographers? We're too slow. We take too much time. I promise you, when you walk out of here at the end of 3 days, that'll never be a question again. We're going to make it happen, but you got to study it. It's a matter of practicing. You know what's terrible? Most people now, their idea of practicing is on a job. You can't practice on a job. That's not what happens. Practice on a job is what kills you. Practice on a job is what you create. Get someone dressed up.
Find someone to model for you, anybody. I took one of my dearest, closest friends in the world. I said, please, get dressed up. Okay, and I said, I want to prove that I can make anybody look good. Look at him. He's beautiful. He's absolutely gorgeous, but it's the way I created him. Now, mind you, if you do walk into a scenario like this, don't question it. Just move on. Just shoot away. But the fact is, it's about practicing. The fact is, it's about going and doing something above and beyond. It's about moving in a direction where you realize that everything you do is based on making yourself a better photographer. I practice still. I take my daughter and I dress her up. Why? Because I know she's going to be a pain in the behind and make me struggle through it. But it makes it better because then I find a faster way to do it. You have to practice. It's about creating it. Now, here's one of the worst things I've found over the years with photographers, and it kind of drives me crazy, just a little bit. We don't think in terms of operating like a business. Even big businesses should operate, small businesses should operate like big businesses. You have to create systems. You have no choice. Everything you do is about a system. Let me ask this question, each of you, and be honest. Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan?
A business plan?
A plan, period. A business plan, a shooting plan, a personality plan, a work and family plan. Do you have any of them? It has to be a well thought out plan. Goes for you at home. You're thinking about what your plan is for today and what I'm going to eat later. I have my year planned out. I know exactly what I do. And that's why I've been able to get where I've gotten. My plan is very simple. I plan everything of what I'm going to do. Like, let me ask you something. Here's the biggest sign that you're doing something wrong. Email could be very consuming, can't it? When are you checking your email? Do you check it every time your phone comes in? You're like, bam! Do you do it then and disrupt what you're doing? Email should be done at times of the day. It's not a matter of doing it at that immediate moment. It's a matter of getting things done. The only way you could really, truly accomplish anything and get things done is what? To have a plan. Do you have a plan? Do you have a system? Everything in it, what I do is a system. And we're going to talk about that over the next couple of days. We're going to talk about how I'm able to manage life and business. Do you think photography is the only thing I do? I have many other things. I coach a 13U national travel baseball team on top of my lecturing, which I do almost 40 to 50 cities a year, on top of my weddings, which I do 60 weddings a year. I'm involved with the PTA, and I coach the baseball team about 80 games a year. So how do I manage all of this? Because I've created a system that works. You have to create something that works for you. It's about efficiency. What's the biggest killer of people's businesses? Efficiency. You don't have a system in place. It's important that you have a system, because when you do, systems will create consistency. Systems will create a guarantee. Systems will tell a story. Systems begin with what we call the flow. Everybody thinks flow posing is this thing. They think it's a small little thing I created. It's a way of life for me. It's a way of doing everything that I do. Everything I do is about the flow. It's about making sure that I don't have to stop. It's making sure that I'm able to adjust. Do you think about your catastrophe plan? Do you? What happens when your camera goes down? When she's walking down the aisle? What do? The sign of a professional is not what you're doing while everything's good. The sign of a professional is what you do when something goes wrong. How do you react? I remember it was quite fun. This was a great experience with my dad and me. My dad wasn't very technical like myself, but his way of fixing things were quite funny. I'm about 12 years old, and he's outside the bride's house, and his camera's not working. So we're in the car, and we're outside the car, and he's looking at it, and he didn't know what to do technically, so he ran through his troubleshooting, and his way of fixing it was shaking it. Shaking it. So, as she's walking out, the bride's walking out of the house, he doesn't know. As he's shaking it and it's still not working, he yells, "You B word." You know what the B word is.
So I said, Dad, he looks over, he goes, not talking about you. He's shaking the camera because he did it. You got to be able to just move on. Camera doesn't work, that's why you have another one. You move on. You worry about it later. Camera doesn't work, I'm prepared to move on. Oh my goodness, it didn't come out when she's walking down the aisle. Let me forget about it and pretend she doesn't notice it. Here's what I do when training my personal photographers for my staff. And as you can imagine, we have quite a big staff. We have over 30 employees. And I just did it to one of them the other day. There's a girl, Jen, who's training for us. And the other day, I made her screw up and change the settings on the camera as the bridal party was walking down the aisle. And I made it so that the camera didn't fire. Why would I do that to her? Because when she goes out on her own, she needs to be prepared for it to happen. So she couldn't focus. The flash didn't fire. What did she have to do? She had to go up to him and say, listen, I don't like the way you came out. I need to reshoot you again after the ceremony coming down. Do you go up to him and say, hey, I blew it. You look terrible. It didn't come out. I don't know what I'm doing. Or do you go up and say, listen, I don't really like the way it looked. Let's just repose this. Let's just redo it. It's a matter of doing it. It's the person who doesn't redo it that has the problem. It's a matter of teaching her, Jen, what happened? I don't know what happened. Then you're nowhere near being ready to go out. Fortunately, she did know what happened. She's like, my settings changed. I must have hit this or that. And I'm like, no, you didn't hit anything. I changed them before you shot. So she's like, what is that teaching me? That's teaching you to check everything before you actually press the button. Don't assume that you didn't rub the body of the camera up against you and a setting changed. It's about systems. What exactly is flow posing? It's something that I created quite a long time ago. And little did I know it would be this thing that followed me around. What you're seeing is over 70 different poses of the bride and groom flow before your eyes. Now, everybody thinks that flow posing is just the bride and groom. Flow posing is everything. Do you know more than 70% of these poses here of this couple can be used in various different types of entities of photography? You can use them when photographing families, when photographing maternities, when photographing communion kids with their parents, when photographing a bride with her parents, all of them, because it's about making that story and everything flow together, isn't it? It's about finding a way to make this unique. Now, are there variables? Are there changes? Yes. But here's the thing. These 70 poses occur to you in a matter of seconds. How long do you think it takes me to shoot that on a wedding? I have a question for you. How long does it take you to normally take 10 completely different images of a couple? Most people say it takes me about 10, 15 minutes, right? Does that sound accurate? 10, 15 minutes, you lost them. They're gone. They're done. I could do this in 5. Because it's simple, subtle changes. Just watch this. Can I borrow my beautiful couple here for a second? I know you've been dying to get up here with me. Take a look at these little things. You guys are going to come right over here for a second. You're going to switch sides for me, though, beautiful. Just watch these little things, these entities. Now, I want you to look. They're photographers. They're standing next to each other, and they look completely clueless. Okay, because that's what people are. I'm a photographer, but when someone comes up to you, do they automatically go, oh, look, take a look here, and go? They don't do that, do they? They're all looking for leadership. I saw that. Here's what I've learned. People are starving to be led. In the absence of real leadership, they'll listen to anybody. My dad always told me, he goes, this is how you control your events. Whatever you do, don't stop talking. If you stop talking, what does that mean? Nobody's listening and they're thinking something else. So no matter what, I don't care if you tell them a story, keep talking and keep their attention on you. And second part, do I ask for their opinion about what they want to do? Do I have any interest in your opinion? No, I could care less. Why? Because if I ask them, what can they say? They could say no. Watch this. 2 people here. I want you 2 to hug like you're going to take an image. Okay, so let's take a look at what he did, and this will get into posing. Did he do anything to flatter himself or her? Do they look posed? They look posed. Little things make the difference, and we're going to learn this a little bit later in our segments later today. Here, her arm looks bigger, but now he made her arm look smaller. But more importantly, what he did was he connected them, and we're going to talk later. Now, bring your heads close together. I'm just going to touch you, okay?
The emails will start coming in now. They think, he's touching them. Come right here, heads together, leaning their bodies together. Now lean forward, tilt your head a little bit, beautiful. Relax, let me control you, okay? Relax, turn your head. Now, you look at this. This is one pose. Watch how easy it is to create many. I want you to turn and put your nose right on his cheek, beautiful. Chin down a little bit, stretch your chin out a tad. Good, he's looking there, smile. Okay, now look at each other. Don't look scared. Look at his forehead. It's big. Chin down. Now here, watch this. That's 3. Turn your head. Here, just like that. Lean forward. Stretch your chin out. I just created 4 poses. How long did it take me? Seconds. That's the idea of flow. Thank you. You guys did spectacular, especially you. Nice work. Okay? The fact is, that's a plan. It's a system. If you shot those 4 poses of any couple, would they be happy? They would. But here's what's happening. This is what people are doing now today, and it's a killer. They'll take the bride and groom, they'll take the son, be like, put your arm around each other. Hold here, hand in your pocket, your hand on his chest. Now, smile. Now look at each other. Now kiss. Now hug. And then they're going to do the same exact sequence over here. And then they're going to do it over there and over there. The problem is, if you keep doing the same thing, what are they going to buy? It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of taking all of these. You see all of these? They all look different. And it's based on what? It's based on the fact of just little, subtle, quick movements. If you do that, you're going to have tons and tons of success. But flow posing is not about the bride and groom. It's about a guy alone. It's about learning how to pose a guy alone. Let me show you some of the classic guy alone poses I've seen over the years. Here's a second one. Give me a third one. Fourth one. This is one of my favorites, Captain Morgan. There's nothing flattering about this. His leg goes up, you see things you shouldn't be seeing, and his butt looks gigantic. There's absolutely nothing good about it. A guy wants to look strong. He wants to look powerful. Take a look. Just watch. You put me here on a wall. Sorry. Okay. You bring me here. These are little subtle differences that posing makes. If you take a look, people pose someone on a wall. They're afraid of the lighting, which we're going to talk about next. But do I look good here? It's a matter of understanding. Here we go. Up and down, straight. Do I have a great picture of a guy? If I cut from here over horizontal, do I have a great guy? Do I look down? I have a great guy. I turn in profile. I have a great guy. 4 poses in a matter of seconds just by making little subtle adjustments. A guy wants to look strong. He wants to have personality. It's a matter of doing things. Can I grab that one stool over there real quick if someone doesn't mind? I'm sorry. Now, the idea here, again, is keeping things simple. It's about flowing. I'm sorry, I should have taken it earlier. Thank you. Okay, if you take a look right here, guy alone. Does this look good? Look at me. Doesn't work, does it? But if I come in here, if I sit here and lean forward and turn my head, I now got great light, got great personality, got strength. But do you know, just by sitting here, I could create 7 different types of images without him ever moving. Just by moving eyes, chin, and really camera cropping. It's that simple. It's about creating a flow. Everything you do needs to be a flow. Give you an example. Did you ever see the movie Sleeping with the Enemy? Well, if you saw it, there was a scene where the guy had everything alphabetized and the closet and everything. That's the way I do things. It's a matter of flowing from one thing to another. Every day I walk in to my office, I check my email. Then I move on to my other checks of what I need to do for the next half hour. Then I do this project for a half hour. Then I do this, I do this, I do this. And then every day, this is important. This is part of the flow. I take a half hour to do something that I've never done before. I take a half hour walk so that I can clear the mechanism. I clear it, clean it out, and I move on to think about something that I've never thought about before. I create a journal. How many of you keep a journal? It's a lost art, isn't it? Why is a journal important? was the greatest gift my wife ever gave me. You know why? Because with the journal, how many of you have trouble going to sleep at night because your mind is racing? You have 1,000 different things going through it, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'd love to do something. But then what happens is you forgot it the next day. So every night I journal. When I can't think, I journal. When I take that 30-minute walk to create, I journal. It's a matter of moving along with a flow. So here's what you need to do. First thing, whether you're home, whether you're here, wherever it may be, you need to, number one, develop a plan, develop a system. You need to, number two, define a vision. What is your vision for what each one of you want to accomplish? With what you're doing just now, what you're doing right here. What is your vision? What is the vision of what it is I want to become? You know what my vision is? I want more. My wife always gets mad at me. It's quite a bit. We have this conversation. Her question is always the same. When's it enough? When do you have enough? She's not talking about materialistic things, because you could look at by the way I dress and know I'm not very materialistic. She's looking at the fact that I always want more. I want more notoriety. I want more fame. I want more personality. I want to be the guy. See, I do have a problem in my life that some people face. I put myself out there. So when you put yourself out there, what's going to happen? Not everybody's going to love you. It's going to make yourself quite vulnerable at times, actually, isn't it? I want everybody to love me. So my dream is to keep working so that I can keep doing things that I know are helping people. I want to be the guy that people know they can count on. It's not about money. It's about helping people. I want to do something that leaves a legacy. My photographer is going to leave a legacy long after I'm gone. But I see the vision is bigger. I look at this industry right now. I look at photography in general, and I'm really worried about it. It's in a bad spot. It's in a dangerous spot. So what can I do to help it? And what people aren't realizing is sometimes, in order to move forward, you have to take a step back. And that means going back to what made us who we were. When was photography successful? When we could do something that other people couldn't do. And that was posing. So be prepared for the ride of your lifetime. I'm going to take you through a simplification of light. I'm going to take you through a simplification of posing. I'm going to take you through a simplification of every part of photography and life that you could ever possibly imagine. I'm going to make you want to get up in the morning and do this job because you know you can be better. I'm going to make you want to get up in the morning and do this job because you know that what you do matters, because it's important.